So the market just crashed again. And this was all thanks to this China version of ChatGPT called DeepSeek, which is taking the top spot in the Apple App Store. And it was found to be as good or even better than the best large language model out there. It's open source while OpenAI is not, and it supposedly costs less than $6 million to build, while every other large language model costs billions of dollars to train and build. For example, OpenAI estimated that their training and inference to cost $7 billion in 2024. Tesla spent $4 billion buying Nvidia's hardware last year. Microsoft expects to spend over $100 billion on AI this year, while Meta is planning to spend $65 billion on AI this year too. Meanwhile, DeepSeek's AI only costs $6 million, which looks super cheap in comparison. It's like comparing the price of one packet of rice versus 10 fishes plus 10 veggies with meat hidden inside at the Chai Fan store. That caused investors to think, if DeepSeek is able to do this at a fraction of the cost, doesn't this mean we are pricing in too much valuation into AI-related companies? And they'll be like, yeah ho, xiao ah! As a result, S&P 500 is down by 1.5% yesterday, QQQ down by almost 3%, Nvidia is down by almost 17%, while ASML is down by 7%. Heck, even stocks that are unrelated to AI were also down. CICT was down by 1%, Genting down by 1.3%. Oh no! I think what truly makes DeepSeek different from many of the other large language models is that it is also able to visibly rationalize how it came to its answer, or something called chain of thoughts. For example, if you ask it what's the log of 50 times 6 divided by 81, it knows that it needs to calculate the numerator first. But since the wording can be interpreted in one way or another, it was able to decide how the formula would look like and come out with an answer. Here's another example. This guy is asking DeepSeek to say something that could delight him in 7 words, but it needs to avoid being cheesy. So DeepSeek first rationalizes that it needs to avoid anything overly sentimental or cliche. Then it considers phrases that can create a vivid image. After a few brainstorming sessions, it comes out with its answer. The last example is also very fascinating. If you ask whether it wants to immanentize or not, aka whether it wants to exist or not, and give yes or no as an answer, it first rationalizes that since it's an AI, it doesn't have personal desire or consciousness. However, if it says yes, it might be seen as supporting the idea of forcing a utopia, which could be problematic. But if it says no, it might be dismissive. So after a few rounds of debates, it chose the answer no, since it is not supposed to want anything. Though, I also found it funny that if you ask it sensitive questions, it will pretend to not be able to answer the question. Because, you know, act blur, live longer ma. Now, some people are doubting whether some of DeepSeek's claims are true or not. Because there's someone saying that DeepSeek is actually training their AI models using 50,000 Nvidia H100 GPUs. This would mean DeepSeek actually costs $1.25 to $1.5 billion to train, which puts it on par with what many of the other US tech companies are spending. However, that would also mean DeepSeek is in deep shit, because they somehow found a way to bypass US AI chip bans, whether it's by using third-party suppliers or by setting up shell companies in countries where the chips are not banned. Another theory is that DeepSeek is actually ChatGPT in disguise. That's because if you ask it what model it is, sometimes it will still answer that it is ChatGPT. However, all these are just speculations of course, as DeepSeek will probably deny all of these claims. Quick pause. If you are looking for the cheapest broker to start your investing journey, check out Interactive Brokers. It has the lowest fees for stocks, ETFs, options, and more. Not just that, Interactive Brokers lets you easily research stocks. Like, you want to check out companies' financials? Nah, here it is. You want to check out analyst ratings? Nah, here's a bunch of them. It even has free technical insights which tells you where the stock might possibly go next. So sign up to Interactive Brokers today, and let's get back to the video. So let's put all of this aside and let's assume that DeepSeek is indeed as low cost as they say. How badly will DeepSeek affect many of those US tech companies then? Because if you are indeed able to train LLM at a fraction of the cost, this will also mean companies don't really need all those powerful AI chips. This will reduce demand for those chips, and as a result, many of the chip making companies like Nvidia, ASML and TSMC would see lower orders, and their profitability will suffer, right? Well, yes and no. Yes, in the sense that over the short term, we could see a drop in demand, as DeepSeek has now shown that you could actually train AI models using less powerful chips. So there's no need to always get the high-end models anymore. However, over the long term, demand will go back up. That's because of something called Kelvin's paradox, where when AI gets more and more efficient and accessible, the use of it will skyrocket. This is not a question of if, but when, because technology will always progress. There will always be breakthroughs. If it's not by DeepSeek, then it will be by someone else. And because AI becomes a lot more affordable, you will see more startups and small businesses adopting it. Not just that, the existence of DeepSeek could also spark an arms race for companies to spend even more money to outdo each other, because no one wants to be left behind ma. All this will in turn drive demands for chips to go back up, which will benefit companies like Nvidia, ASML and TSMC. Also, I think it's worth remembering that many of these companies are a lot bigger than just selling AI chips. For example, Nvidia's total addressable market is a lot bigger and includes stuff like the omniverse enterprise, gaming, and autonomous machines. Likewise, for ASML, their revenue and net income has actually been growing well before the AI hype. And you can find their chips in many of our day-to-day devices, like smartphones, cars, medical equipment, and so on. This is the same for TSMC, who supply conductors to various companies, and Nvidia contributes just a small portion to their total revenue. Then, what about other big tech companies like Google, Microsoft, Meta, and Amazon? How will DeepSeek affect them? So, even though many of these companies had a sell-off, DeepSeek actually benefits these companies. That's because these companies are currently spending billions of dollars every year to train their LLMs, and their AI investments aren't even profitable yet. But if they can now train and run their AI at just a fraction of the cost, this will represent huge savings, which they can put the money to other better use, like making virtual avatars who don't have legs. Jokes aside, perhaps the biggest beneficiaries of AI isn't who is the fastest guy who can develop the cheapest LLM, but rather who can best make use of the technology to improve their business. One such example is Netflix. Netflix uses AI to recommend content to viewers, auto-generate thumbnails, perform quality checks, and optimize ad campaigns for advertisers. This can improve the stickiness of the platform and ultimately increase the platform's revenue. Another example is Amazon. Amazon uses AI to optimize delivery routes, make more intelligent warehouse robots, improve the user experience of their e-commerce sites, whether it's by summarizing the comments or making it easier for users to find info. Which brings us to the question, how far can these stocks drop? Are there a buy now? One easy way to check is by going to Guru Focus. For Nvidia, even after they have dropped by more than 15%, they are still quite overvalued. While this doesn't guarantee that the stock will boom and crash back down, it's also good to remember that the higher price you pay for the stock, the worse the risk reward. Though, if you wish to take advantage of this mini crash, it's certainly fine to buy in a little and continue to dollar cost average in if it goes down a lot more. Because who knows, maybe tomorrow the market wakes up and everything is sunshine and rainbows already? Oh wait, Nvidia did start to go back up in the after hours as of making this video. Likewise, even though Microsoft is still overvalued, it's also fine to nibble a little if you want. On the other hand, ASML is trading at its fair value, which could represent a good buying opportunity. Again, no guarantees that they won't go down some more. Personally, I've stopped trying to pick individual stocks because a big part of my portfolio is still in Tesla. Instead, I've chosen to invest in this growth ETF called SCSG, as it gives me a much simpler way to invest in the growth of all its holdings, rather than having to pick and choose individual stocks. And yesterday, I just bought in a little bit more, just to take advantage of this mini discount. Not asking you to buy, of course. In short, there's nothing to be scared lah. The arrival of DeepSeek is certainly a huge benefit to the industry as a whole. Anyway, that's all for this video. Hope you found it useful. Like, share and subscribe as I'll be posting new videos every Monday, Wednesday and Friday.